That was not funny.
That came to you from the really weird kids in my first period. Happy pancakes and waffles, or whatever it is kids say when it's shower hour. Hopefully you've all showered. Hopefully not within the last hour. Field day is... Give me that book. Field day is tomorrow morning. Today is the throwback shirt way back in 2009. And then today is my final talk. For the most part, I think I'm going to try and record each of my classes. We'll sort of see what happens. Tomorrow, my classes that do meet, I do have one last story for you. I don't know if we'll get a chance to do it in this class, just because tomorrow is kind of chaotic. But if I do have a chance to tell the story, I will. Oh, and your final grades are updated, and your B points have been updated and all that. Again, you're welcome to spend points if you want to this week. And then grade-wise is pretty much locked in unless you have a thing you've not turned in yet. Other than that, I think your grades should be good to go. Go you happies. So we did get the class picture. Tomorrow morning, if we have everyone here, because we never seem to have a class period where everyone is actually here, then we'll try and take another picture. But today, again, we're missing Mohammed and Nathan. I think last Friday when we took the picture, we were missing 2 other kids in here, but maybe someday you'll all be here on the same. But being as that Tyler keeps saying he's not going to come tomorrow, then he won't be in the picture too.
Oh my gosh, Tyler! What about your mom? I'm not going to be in the picture either then.
Okay. Then,
You are not hard
for today, you'll see me looking down. I actually have notes today to help me on this one. The reason being is it's probably like 2 hours worth of talking, and I have to cut it down to a half hour for you guys.
2 hours?
Yeah, well,
chill out.
what is I do, what's that kid talking over me again? Man, all the way till the end. Is that I have 2 hours worth of information, but I have to pick and choose which classes get what information. And this sort of helps keep me focused a wee bit. I'm also going to be putting some stuff up behind me that'll sort of keep me focused. I don't know if I showed you this picture last week. Some of my classes I did, but yes, that is in case you were that 7th grade me and then 8th grade me. The reason I'm wearing a tie and he's wearing a tie and you can't see his is that we were on the football team. And then if you were on the football team, you had to wear a tie for the school picture. And so that was made us all fancy. So that was me, my best friend in 6th grade, who I'm still friends with today. And then Mike and Mark, who were the 2 kids I hung out with all through junior high.
Wait, is that Mark? Is that
Mark and tried to impress.
Remember how you mouth moves a lot? There you go. And then this was the kid that, or the girl that I had a crush on through junior high, so I figured I would just throw that one up there.
That's you cried.
She lucky.
Whoa!
I take that back.
Remember, if I mentioned it before,
She's an adult now, man.
being in my class is a privilege, and when you lose that privilege at the end of the year, I just send you to ISR, and it just sort of takes care of that issue. Not that I am aiming that at anyone in particular who tends to just try to bring attention to themselves with comments, but I figured your mouth is still moving. Thought I'd throw it out there to try and help you on that one. Hey, welcome to the end of the year. So, I touched on some of this stuff last week. Today just goes a different direction. It's not really a story. It's more of me just giving you guys some information and a talk. I don't know if that makes it better or makes it worse. Today's story, for some of you guys, will have a lot of meaning. For some of you, it'll have absolutely none, which will make a bit more sense as we go through and do the whole thing. Today's talk is what I first started doing with my classes at the end of the year. When I first did my first Brovi conversation, whatever, with kids, it was today. And then I slowly started expanding it to those other stories last week. My goal with the stories last week was twofold. One was to sort of give you guys a glimpse into who I was as a kid, since I imagine that is not what you imagine my background was like. And then the other part of it was to earn your trust for today. I want today to have weight and meaning. And I figured the best way for that to happen was to connect and share my most painful memories in the past, so that I think that is how you earn trust with people. So, when I first started doing, like that was then, this is now, Outsiders at the end of the year, I started having conversations with kids about things that happened to me, like Mike and Mark, and the fact that my friendships fell apart. And I thought it was just me talking about my life or connecting when I was a kid. And then I started having, as I mentioned, kids coming in and talking to me. And it was a lot of my past students talking to me that has changed how I teach. I absolutely would not be the teacher I am today if it wasn't for kids coming and talking to me and staying connected with me and updating me on things. And a lot of that is, this is your last year of innocence. And I use innocence with quotation marks. I noticed when I talked last week and the week before about the fact that I know I have kids who drink or smoke pot or vape in 7th grade, I had a number of kids who gave me like big Pikachu shocked faces as the idea of not understanding that that's happening to kids around you. 7th grade is sort of the last time where you get to be oblivious to some of the bad things that are happening in the world. And some of you are no longer oblivious to those things anyway. 8th grade, your eyes are going to be opened. Today is my last day to have an impact on you. Today is my last day to have any kind of influence on you. And the reason I want to have an impact or influence on you is because of Mohammed, who finally came in, although he seems to be confused. Thanks, Mohammed. Welcome. You made it. He's struggling. It happens sometimes. Is that, again, that whole making me care about you thing, is that I'm wanting you guys to do better as you move forward. And from what my past students have told me, 8th grade is when you're going to be exposed to drugs, alcohol, vaping, poor choices between genders, any number of things along those lines. And for a lot of you, it happens this summer. The summer between 7th and 8th grade is when a lot of you are going to be out with friends, you're going to be at someone's house, you're going to be having a party or a get-together, and that's going to be the first time that you see a kid who pulls out alcohol or pulls out a vape, and you are going to have that opportunity to go down a different path. So that's why I want to talk to you today, just to have some impact on you. I know a lot of your parents still see you as little kids. I was the same way with my own 2 daughters when they came through. It's hard to, as a parent, to look at your 7th grader and not think of them still as little kids. Problem is, you guys aren't little kids anymore. You guys are on the cusp of being big people. As you guys hit 13, there are going to be adult issues you are going to have to deal with. And I've learned there's a lot of parents who do not want to deal with these issues because they're scary. So that's where I step in. And I am going to be one who sort of has a talk with you about what is coming up in front of you to try to help you out. In my years of teaching, I used to think every 7th grader had a happy life. That every 7th grader, that you guys were young and innocent and things were good for you. And then my kids started coming back and talking to me, and I realized not every 7th grader does have a happy life. And then I realized some 7th graders have a really crappy life. And then I found out that some 7th graders have a downright awful life. And it goes on and does not get better. And so that's part of what I want to try to help you guys with today. You're going to have big choices, whether it is drinking, whether it is vaping, smoking, whether it's going to be pot, whether it's going to be all of that. Within the next year, year and a half, you're going to have to start making that decision between friends and that path. And I don't know which path you're going to go down. I've had enough students come talk to me that I look at you guys and I can see 2 paths in front of you. Regardless if you are the kid that gets in trouble all the time in my class or whether you're the honor society kid, you have 2 paths. One path is light and one path is dark. One path is good choices and one path is bad choices. I thought when I was a kid I knew my path, but then things happen and they change, and I didn't go on the path I thought. I was not expecting to get arrested. I was not expecting to have all of these awful things happen to me at the end of 7th grade. But by the end of high school, those things had happened. So, let's start with my background. I'm the most normal person in my family, which is weird. Exactly. For those of you who just gave me flare eyes, I feel the same way. This should not be normal at all. But in my family, this is very normal. Because even though I've been arrested, I am like the only member of my family that's not been in jail. I am the only member of my family that does not have some kind of chemical addiction. I'm the only member of my family that has any number of things. Let's say when I get together with my family, they hold me up as this whole pinnacle of what normal should be. And I keep trying to tell them, if you talk to my students, I'm not normal. I'm a pretty special, out there kind of person. But when you see the family that I come from, it's rough. It wasn't until junior high that I realized grandparents are not supposed to be alcoholics, because I grew up with grandparents that were alcoholics. In my family, I couldn't be around my grandparents after 5 o'clock in the evening because my grandfather was so violent and angry that we would get kicked out of restaurants. My uncle, who I grew up with, which was my mom's brother, was in and out of jail for cocaine and marijuana and alcoholism. Went to jail often when I was a kid. And so I grew up being aware of all of these different things. Junior high was when I became aware that other families weren't like my family. And I think this is the age where it starts to hit you guys also, where you're no longer in elementary school and you're no longer necessarily in middle school. And as you guys start to become more aware of the world and spend time with other kids, you start to realize that other families aren't necessarily like your family. That things that you grew up thinking are normal might not be as normal as you think. I tell you that so that you understand, I know what it comes from to come from dysfunction. I know what it means to come from a family that's screwed up, that's had issues in the past. I know what it's like to be in that situation and think that you can't rise above it, to think that that defines who you are. Whether it's alcoholic family or whether it's being ignored by parents, whether it's the fact that you have, as much as I hate to say it, abusive parents, because I know I have students who have abusive parents who have to put up with stuff like that. I know what it's like to go through a lot of that and have to overcome whatever it may be. And that's partly why I told you guys the stories last week, is I wanted you to hear a story of me overcoming some of those things in the hope that it would give you the ability to overcome some of those things that you guys face also. One of the things that I realized when I was in junior high was about bullying. I got bullied a lot in junior high. I was skinny. I had acne. I was not as Sigma with the ladies as you might think. And so because of that, there was a lot of bullying that happened. And I remember one day, Chad, the same one I talked about on my wrestling team, this was in 8th grade when he had first started deciding that he was going to bully me. And we were in PE class, and he was making fun of me, calling me pizza face because I had bad acne in front of all of these girls that were in our PE class. And it was awful and embarrassing, and I hated it. And I remember going home that day and just having a crappy day because of him getting all of these girls to laugh at me, calling me pizza face over a thing that I couldn't control anyway. And I remember sitting in my room, sad, trying to figure it out, when my mom came in. And I love my mom. She's great. And she goes, "What's up?" And I go, "Just bad day." She goes, "Anything in particular?" And I was like, "Ah." And I told her about Chad before. And I was like, "Yeah, just issues with Chad. He was making fun of me, calling me pizza face in PE, and got these girls laughing at me, and I feel crappy." And she was like, "Oh." And she was like, "So remember, is Chad a friend of yours?" And I was like, "No, I hate Chad. He can die in a hole." And she goes, "Oh." And she goes, "So what did he do?" And I was like, "He made fun of me, and these girls were laughing." She's like, "Oh, the girls were a friend of yours." And I go, "No, I don't even know them. They were just girls in the class." And she goes, "Oh." And she goes, "So why do you care?" And I went, "What?" She goes, "Why do you care?" And I went, because he's popular and he made fun of me and girls laughed at me. And she goes, hon, you're old enough, you have to realize that if you don't care about these people, why do you care what they say? If this kid is popular but you don't like him, why do you care what he has to say? If these girls are popular but you don't like them, why do you care? There are always going to be people who make fun of you. There are always going to be people that harass you. You have to decide who you care about. And that was a bit of eye-opening for me, the fact that you can choose who you care about. And the idea of not giving power to bullies was something I hadn't realized you could do. And it's a thing I embraced that changed how I went through high school, was no longer letting people I didn't like have control over me. And it's a thing that I wanted to pass along to you this year, is that I don't want you to be controlled by other people you don't respect. If there are humans, kids, other peers who harass you, make fun of you, give you a hard time, but they're not a friend of yours or they're not someone you care about, why do you let their opinion influence who you are? Decide who your friends are. If your friends harass you, that's different. If a random bully does it, don't care. You have to be strong enough to move past what random people say about you. Be confident in who you are. Figure out why your friends like you. Figure out who you are and who you want to be, and embrace that, not what other people say about you. And this next bit, I don't know if it'll have weight, but it may. And it's bullies. In any form or however you look at it, bullies are always going to exist. We can't get rid of them. We can't get rid of them at the junior high. We can't get rid of them at the high school. We can't get rid of them as adults. Bullies are always going to exist. Bullies exist because unhappiness exists. When someone is unhappy, when someone is sad, depressed, and angry, it is too much for them to emotionally handle. So they lash out. That's where bullying comes from. There has never in the history of 25 years of me teaching, and I'm sure it goes beyond that, have I ever heard about a kid who bullied or made fun of someone else who was not unhappy themselves. It simply does not exist. Now here's the part you have to understand. Why people bully. Why people do what they do. Some of you in this room have a good home life. You have two parents who are together, or you have parents who are divorced but in happy relationships. You guys have family that is home for you. You have parents who eat dinner with you. You have parents who tell you they love you on a daily basis. You have siblings that you get along with. You feel supported no matter what choices you make, and you are allowed to be who you want to be. That is amazing. What you have to realize is there are kids in this room right now who don't have that. If you are 13 and you have to go through life having crappy parents who are mean to you, that when you go home at night, they yell at you, or they're drunk, or they ignore you, or the number of kids I have who hate summertime, who come and talk to me because summertime is a scary time, because you have to be home with your family for the summer, and your home is not a safe place. That's rough. And if you can imagine being a kid who lives in that situation where school is your happy place because home is crappy, and school is your happy place and you get yelled at by teachers, so that's not even a happy place. So essentially, wherever you go, you have adults who are yelling at you and adults who make your life awful and kids around you who make you unhappy. Why would you be a happy person? Those people lash out at others. When you see a kid who is happy, when you see a kid who has a good home life, it makes you angry and bitter. And those kids lash out. It's why I started teaching the way I do. I used to be mean to bullies. I used to be angry at them. I used to tear into them in my class until kids taught me otherwise. And one of the toughest things I've ever learned in my 48 years is that the people who need your love the most, the people who need you to care about them the most, are the ones who deserve it the least. It is easy to be nice to nice people. It is hard to be nice to awful people. But those people need it more than anything. When you have a kid who is awful to you, when you have a kid that is mean to you, they need you to be nice to them because the world is already crappy to them. That's why in my room, I try to treat you guys equally. I try not to have favorites. I try not to have kids I hate on. Now, I have kids who make poor choices, but that's different. As soon as you stop making those poor choices, I stop treating you like those poor choices. In my room, I try to treat you like you behave. And I think it's a thing a lot of you guys have picked up on. But it's a thing I want you guys to carry out into the world beyond my class. I have a number of kids who come in and talk to me about my personality and the fact that I seem happy and smiley, and the fact that my room they feel is a safe place where they can come and be. And you have to realize it's not by accident. I have anger, I have sadness, I have emotions just like everybody else does. It's just I've learned to not take them out on other people. My personality is a choice. And it's one of the things I want to sort of push along to you guys, is that you guys are at a critical age where you get to choose your personality. You get to choose who you want to be. You've seen me this year with painted nails, painted toenails, colored hair. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if people judge me. I am who I want to be, and it makes me happy. That's what I want for you guys. What worries me is watching you guys change who you are for other people. Don't do that. Figure out who you want to be. Do you want to be the outgoing kid? Do you want to be the quiet kid? Do you want to be the class clown? Do you want to be the nerdy kid? Figure out who you want to be and be that person. Don't let other people control who you are. Whether it be a kid your age, whether it be an adult, whether it be a parent. You live your life. You decide who you want to be. You're looking at someone who made that decision. I decided who I wanted to be, and I embraced it. I want you to be as happy as you see me be, but that only happens with your deciding to do that. Along those same lines, things I've learned is I have students who don't get in trouble, who say they get in trouble at home, but they don't. And there's every chance you know a kid who seems to get away with doing whatever they want at home, who no matter what they do, their parents just ignore it. They can stay up late, they can miss school whenever they want to, they can fail classes, they can stay up out at night, and you wonder why or how, or maybe that would be the perfect life that you would want to have. And you have to realize it's not. Being punished by an adult is a good thing. It doesn't seem like a good thing, but what you have to understand is in order to punish you, an adult has to care for you. Caring is big, and I have a lot of students who have parents who don't punish them. It implies that they aren't cared about. I care about every single one of you. It's why I punish you. It's why even leading up to our last 2 days, I still hold you responsible for your choices. I don't want to kick a kid out of my class. I don't want to send a kid to ISR, because doing that means I give up on you. And I don't want to give up on a single one of you. I want you to know that if you are around me, if you are in my room, I am going to hold you accountable for your choices. Because holding you accountable for your choices is what makes you a better person. So here's what worries me. I don't know what path is in front of you guys. I mentioned at the beginning that I look at you guys and I see a path of good and I see a path of bad. And I've taught long enough that I look at almost every single one of you and I can connect to you to my past students. And I can see kids in your situation who gave into the darkness on their path. And I don't want that for you. The way I see it is every single one of you has this dark and light path. But those paths are not the same width. For some of you, the path of good choices and light is really wide. You have family that loves you. You are supported. And you know that you are loved and things are going well and you're getting good grades and you have good friends and your path is wide and your path of darkness is very narrow, and I'm not as worried about that path that you might take. It's there, but I think you have strength to avoid it. And honestly, you aren't the kids I'm worried about. But I have kids in this class who I know their dark path is a lot wider. Some of you guys have bad home lives. I listen when you guys talk. I interact with kids and parents, and I know that you guys struggle on a daily basis. I know that I have kids who deal with alcoholic parents and drug abuse at home, and parents that aren't there for them. And when that happens, your dark path is very, very wide, and your light path is very narrow. And that's what worries me, is I don't want you guys to go down that dark path. And from talking to you guys about 6th grade and seeing the dark paths some of my kids took last year, where I think the teachers and I think the principals allowed you guys to become a bad version of yourselves when you guys all got together. I think as 6th graders, you guys were not a good group. But as 7th graders, you're one of the best groups I've ever had, which shows me that there is goodness in you. But you have to make the decision. When it comes to something as dumb as cheating or copying or choosing to do video games over homework or backstabbing a friend, those are the choices that push you towards that dark path of being that awful, horrible person when you become an adult. And I don't want you guys to be awful, horrible people as adults. I want you guys to be the good people that I want you to be. So that's how I've run my room this year, is trying to help you guys make that choice and go down that path. And I've learned over the years that I serve a different role for different kids. I used to think that I was just a teacher. For years, I was like, I'm just an English teacher. I enjoy what I do, and I interact with kids. But I've learned that that's not true. For some of you, it is. For some of you in here, I am just a happy English teacher that you get to start your day with a smile. But I have kids where my room is a safe place, where they don't feel safe anywhere else, where they don't feel safe at home, and they don't feel safe in other classes, and they feel they can be in my room and find a place where they want to be. If that has been you this year, and you have come to my room because it's a safe place, understand, my door never closes for you. As long as I'm teaching, and as long as I'm here, you are welcome to be in my room. You are welcome to come back to my room. You are welcome to be here with me, and I will continue to make you happy and feel safe for as long as I can. For some kids, I know I'm the only adult who smiles at them, because I have kids whose home life does not allow that, who get in trouble with every teacher, and they don't have an adult who smiles and is nice to them. If that's the role I played for you this year, then I'm happy, and I will continue to be that for you. For others of you, it was just the fact that you wanted a place to laugh, a place where you could sort of enjoy and be yourself. And for a small handful of kids, I've been almost a parent, where I get to be that trusted adult that they have a connection to. And again, if that is the role I have played for you this year, I will continue to play it. As long as you want me in your life, I will continue to be there for you. And I'm more than happy to be that one. Those of you in my class this year, if you have been here and you feel that you have faded into the background and have not been a kid that I have connected with, you are wrong. I have felt a connection to you guys, even if you haven't felt that with me. If you were one of those kids who needed someone to talk to, who needed that adult who will always listen to you, I'm happy to be that too. Whether it is in person, whether it's over Remind, or whether it's in email, I will always be there, and I will always respond to you. It's simply how I am wired. Whether it is this summer, whether it is next year, whether it is going into high school, if you reach out to me, I will be here. If you are like Clayton, who I did not see for years, and then you suddenly walk back into my room as a junior, my door is open, and I'm happy to talk with you. If you are the kid that has gotten in trouble a whole bunch in my room, or whether you're the kid that I've harassed throughout the year because I knew you could take it, my door will be open to you, and I am more than happy to be here for you. Those of you who, well, not those of you who, Mrs. Butts is also going to have a talk with you guys today because hers is a little bit different. Hers is more like the ones I gave you guys last week, because last year when she heard me doing my talks, I convinced her that I thought it was a good way to end the year, having a conversation with kids. So, just to be prepared for that. Tomorrow, I'm going to go a bit happier with our talk, but some of you aren't going to be here tomorrow. Some of you I'm not going to see next year. It's weird for me to think that for some of you in this room, this is the last time we ever see each other, because you'll go on to 8th grade and your classes won't bring me or bring you anywhere near me. You'll go to high school and we may never interact again. So this is my last time to have any kind of influence or impact on you. So that's why I end it this way. I don't teach for the money. I don't teach because I want to make English the most important thing. I teach because I honestly want to see you guys change the world. And I know it's easy to think that one person can't change the world, but I'm one person. Did I change the world for you? Did I change your world this year? If I did, why can't you? Why can't you be the person that changes the world for someone else? And so it starts with just one person who is trying to be positive and trying to be happy and trying to make the world a better place. And that's what I want from you guys, is to make the world a better place and to find your place in it as you guys go into 8th grade. On a side note, thank you for this year. I really enjoyed this first period class. I know I harassed you guys at the beginning of the year about being quiet, and at the end of the year about being quiet, and then you guys would talk, and then some of you guys would really talk. But overall, as much as I harass you guys at times, or as much as you guys may not have liked 6th grade, I love this year. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed starting my day with you guys. Given I would have liked for you guys to be a bit more interactive, but from talking to other teachers, you're better than most other first periods. You're a good group when you guys get together with your personalities. It's a thing that I didn't realize as a kid, is that class periods have a personality. Your class personality is different from my 3rd period, which is different from my 6th period, and each class personality is a sum of each person in it. Whether it is the quiet kid, whether it's the talkative kid, whether it's the kid that flips over desks, or the kids I harass every day, it's a combination of those personalities. And realize that when you guys go into 8th grade next year, to show your personality. If you want to make me happy and proud of you next year, I don't care about your grades. That's not what's going to do it. You figure out who you want to be next year. Take the summer, take the beginning of 8th grade, and decide what type of person you are. If you've ever wanted to be outgoing and talkative, why are you not outgoing and talkative? If you are a class leader, be a class leader. Step into that role. Do not let the anger or the attacks or insults of other kids slow you from being who you want to be. Tomorrow, for those of you who are here, we're going to run around and have fun, and it is going to be all kinds of entertaining. You get to spend tomorrow afternoon with me, and thanks again for this year. I've loved it. See you guys later.